Hey, good morning. I'm John F. Gately. You can call me Jack, broadcasting to you from beautiful Plymouth, Massachusetts, America's hometown. Thank you so much for joining us today. We have a great show. There's so much to talk about. We're going to have a special guest, I hope, sometime in the first 30 minutes of the show. Toby Leary from Cape Gunworks is scheduled to be with us. We gave him a fairly wide opening so he can join us anytime in the next 30 minutes. And I hope I can pull this off from a technical point of view. I haven't had a guest on the show for a while, so I hope I remember how to do that. But Toby Leary, whose YouTube channel was banned last week from YouTube, now all of his other channels have also been banned. He's completely off YouTube. He had some additional channels. He's going to give us more detail on that when he joins us between now and the bottom of the hour. Toby Leary from Gunworks. He'll now be on X, as he always has been, and on Rumble, but we're going to let Toby fill us in on the details when he joins us sometime in the next 30 minutes. In the meantime, I'm sure you've heard earth-shattering news. Thank you, President Trump. Hamas accepts Trump peace plan, ending 2 years of war in Gaza. Returning hostages. There's approximately 20 hostages left. 48 altogether, 20 of which are alive, if I have my numbers right, or believed to be alive. So amazing. This is kind of like Nobel Prize winning situation here if this holds. And so, just to be sure, and not to believe the echo chamber that things can be, but this is the moment where the president received the note that from Rubio, as you can see, and then he has a question. He calls him over, and Rubio was Bondi's talking, and then he interrupts. This is over at the New York Times.
At least. Yeah, I was just given a note by the Secretary of State saying that we're very close to a deal in the Middle East.
Unbelievable. Really? That must just have killed the New York Times to report that. And the news is also all over CNN how Trump willed phase one of a ceasefire deal. If CNN is spinning it that way, it must be true. While it is too early to declare the war over, all right, what has been agreed to appears to be a breakthrough. They're actually saying CNN is acknowledging that Hamas, Israel, and Trump have achieved or appears to have achieved a breakthrough. So congratulations to all the parties. What else do we want? I mean, other than peace and prosperity, right at the top of the list. Peace and prosperity. And of course, prosperity is your best social program. When your people are prosperous, all of those other social issues tend to, I don't want to fix themselves, but they are mitigated and reduced for sure. I'm just trying to keep an eye on our dashboard control center here. A lot's going on in the background. This is a one-man show. I just want to make sure I have my eye on the control board here in case Toby shows up. In the meantime, getting back to what happened in Boston on October 7th on Tuesday night, this is what Erin Burnett over at CNN had to say about Antifa.
And ISIS? These are incredible things to say. And obviously, I'm not going to sit here and defend anybody who considers themselves part of an Antifa movement, such that it is. But such that it is the operative part of that sentence. Antifa is far from a major sophisticated terror organization like Hezbollah, Hamas.
No, they're not. They're far, far, far.
Or ISIS. In fact, it's not even like far-right groups like the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers, which have had national leaders, unlike Antifa. There is no organized hierarchy to the group. And according to the Center for Strategic and International Studies, compared to right-wing extremists, Antifa-linked violence is rare and limited. And Trump's
rare and limited. I don't. basically Antifa is like those people who go out and watch for birds at Plymouth Beach, right? They're harmless. They're absolutely positively harmless, those Antifa people. Sad or good news, I don't know what you call it, but if you had not heard, they have arrested a man for setting the Palisades fire. Fire set maliciously by Florida firebug Jonathan Riddencraft, feds say. Yeah, awful. If you have not been watching those vlogs by Adam Carolla, you all know Adam Carolla, of course, one of the original podcasters. If you haven't been watching his vlogs from the Palisades, you want to go do that. He's done a spectacular job on that. And if you're not familiar with Adam Carolla's background, he actually made his way through as a young man in the construction business. The guy can swing a hammer. And so he knows like how things are built, especially residential homes. And he's very knowledgeable that way, which adds to an additional layer of depth for those vlogs. And he just dropped another one just a couple of days ago, strongly recommending to my viewership, Adam Carolla, for those Palisade blogs. It's amazing what hasn't happened out there. We are seeing, we've mentioned this before, the red pilling of John Fetterman in real time. Here is a vote last night where the Senate rejects a measure that would have blocked basically President Trump from striking narco-terrorist boats. And John Fetterman voted no. Rand Paul and Murkowski voted yes, but Fetterman voted no, and that was the right vote was no. The correct vote was no. So literally seeing the red pilling of John Fetterman before our very eyes. Who knew that John Fetterman would be the voice of reason in the Democrat Party? Who knew that would happen? Now, shifting towards corruption here in beautiful Massachusetts. And I know this is going to come as a complete surprise to you that yesterday, the governor nominated Gillian Fennier to serve as an associate justice of the Superior Court. Now, that might sound to you as like, ho-hum mechanics of government. But if you scroll down here to her bio, here it is here, you would see that she served as an assistant attorney general in the Massachusetts Attorney General's office for 15 years. Oh, really? So she's a former aide or staffer to the governor herself when the governor was Massachusetts Attorney General. Now, since 2023, Attorney Fennier has been the senior counsel at the States United Democracy Center. Where have I heard of the States United Democracy Center before? Oh, that's right. That's where the First Lady of the Commonwealth earns $400,000 a year protecting democracy. So if you have ever seen anything that is more spun up as like some type of nonprofit grift, money laundering, deep state organization, you have never seen something like the States United Democracy Center. Even the name gives you the creeps, right? Even the name gives you the creeps. And of course, Joanna Lydgate, the First Lady of Massachusetts, she's the president and CEO. So let me just summarize this for you. The governor has just appointed a former staff member of hers to serve on the Superior Court, which in and of itself is not really news. That happens. It just so happens that also this attorney, Gillian Fennier, works right now for the governor's wife at a nonprofit deep state organization in Washington, D.C. called the States United Democracy Center, where the First Lady makes $400,000 a year. Yeah. And now she wants to be your Supreme Court justice in Massachusetts, associate justice of the Supreme Court. So she's going she's not going to serve as a district court judge. Oh, no. And then get promoted. No, she goes right to the Superior Court. Right to the Superior Court. Very nice. Very nice. And it's all kept in the family, so to speak. You know what really burned me, and this post here brings a highlight to it over the last week or so. All of this criticism of the outsiders bringing violence into Massachusetts. And here's a good from here, Dynasty Driven. You nailed it. Remember, folks, Maura Healey takes public safety very, very seriously. And then there's a screenshot from Fox News of all the Boston area migrants charged with sex crimes. So don't tell me, Mayor Wu, Governor Healey, that you're now all of a sudden upset about outsiders when you just cooperated and sponsored a massive invasion where now 5 to 10% of our Massachusetts population are illegal immigrants. You're now pontificating about outsiders? You just sponsored this giant invasion, right? Of which had scores of people that were, among other things, sex crime offenders, child sex crime offenders. And then when the federal government tries to get these people off the street, get these outsiders off the street, you're against that. So you're in favor of child sex criminals from other countries, outsiders coming here. You're in favor of that. But when a couple of people from an island come up, oh, they're outsiders sowing discord in our community. You can't have it both ways. The simple fact of the matter is you suborned, you sponsored a massive invasion into our state, and you did that by literally giving them health care, giving them places to live. We are the only state in the country that has the right to shelter law. Let's not forget that. And it is only a law, and it is not a right. It's just a law. Literally, the first phrase of the law says subject to appropriation. Nobody had to appropriate any more money for that. We could have just said, no, we're not, we're just, that's all we're spending. But you and the Democrats, which, by the way, started with the Baker administration, with Michael Keneally, because he started the first Keneally Hotel, which morphed into the Healey Hotel when Healey took office. He might have warned her about it, but he also started the first one, right? He started the first one, and it was his idea. One of the last things he did was to recommend more money for that program. Let's not forget the facts. He said, oh, this is going to be a problem. But his answer was to do more, to spend more money rather than to shut off the spigot, which is what it should have been the answer. So don't tell me that you're upset about outsiders when you just sponsored an invasion. By the way, the Healey administration is now running a dashboard tracking the billions in federal cuts to Massachusetts. This dashboard basically admits that you're standing on a what is that phrase? On a house of cards, a house of lies. Everything that's on this dashboard, which is basically $3.7 billion lost, is basically an admission of how financially precarious the state financial situation is and how we've put ourselves in that position. We put ourselves into that position. We shouldn't have built a state financial situation like this that was so precarious, and that if we ever lost money from the feds, we're effed, right? We shouldn't have done that. Just checking to see if Toby's here yet. Not yet. Okay. Meanwhile, the governor is taking a very brave stance. The governor is taking a very brave stance. She is against illegal car meetups. She now has a zero tolerance policy, according to Chris Van Buskirk. And by the way, Chris Van Buskirk is now going to be moving over to like BUR or something like that. So I don't know what's going to become of this show, because like half of my show is talking about Chris Van Buskirk stories. So I don't know what we're going to do without Chris Van Buskirk at the Herald. Literally, we might have to cut the show like in half. Might be like a 20-minute show from now on as soon as he moves over to BUR. I don't know why he's going to BUR. Like, why would anybody do that? But nonetheless, Governor Healy now has zero tolerance. So, critical thinking here, does that mean that not too long ago she had some tolerance? What up until yesterday, was there some tolerance for illegal car meetups? Because I know there's a lot of tolerance with Governor Healy for illegal immigrants. She has 100% tolerance for illegal immigrants, doesn't she? Right. Of course she does, because those are her voters. Absolutely. She has 100% tolerance for illegal immigrants. Crazy. But now, theoretically, now it's zero tolerance for illegal car meetups. But up until now, it hasn't been. Mark, thank you so much. And thank you so much for supporting our Substack, Mark. Really appreciate that. Very kind of you. Appreciate that. You can get over to johnfgately.com if you want to pledge and support our work. That would be great. Very nice of you. Somebody just did that today, totally unsolicited. Thank you. I can't remember who that was, but I should. But thank you for that, johnfgately.com. In the meantime, let's bring you up to date on the Knuckleheads as we await Toby joining us today. So here is the report from Channel 5.
More suspects are expected to face a judge this morning. Yesterday here, we had 6 defendants in Boston Municipal.
Well, look at them. This is yesterday. They all have masks. They're all very concerned about COVID. And the kid in the middle, this kid here with the button-down collar shirt, and he's kind of like the preppy terrorist, isn't he? He's the one that broke the cop's nose, allegedly.
Court. All are accused of participating in a pro-Palestinian protest Tuesday night near Boston Common. Now, Boston police say some of those.
Oh, I want you to know that this film right here came from the Berkeley Beacon, who we're going to talk about in a second.
Protesters blocked traffic, kicked a cruiser, and assaulted an officer. According to BPD, 4 of their officers were injured. One of the suspects, 21-year-old tough student, Roder Atwood.
Look at Roder Atwood. He's a 21-year-old tough student. He does look kind of preppy, doesn't he?
Wood is accused of.
Man, the attorney is having a tough fashion day, isn't he not? What type of tie is that?
Hitting an officer in the face, breaking his nose.
Oh, come on, mommy. Can you bail me out?
We are a city that has been built on the right to speak your mind and to peacefully protest, and it's very important to all of us in the city to help protect.
But they're outsiders, Mayor Wu. Oh, actually, 7 out of the 13 that got arrested are from Boston.
And safeguard that right. At the same time, we do not tolerate violence in Boston.
Yes, she does. Right? Yes, she does. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I will tell you that if these people had just sat down in the street, they'd still be there. They'd still be there. Absolutely. They do tolerate. This is her base of support. She's not really that upset. This is just like words she's speaking. Right? That's all that is. That's a Kamala Harris word salad. In the meantime, after that kid with the yellow sweater got his bail at $10,000, the pro-Hamas knuckleheads decided to take over the courthouse hallways. Right? If there's no justice in the court, there's the only justice in the, like the old, is that Lenny Bruce, I think? Yeah. So they had a little temper tantrum in the hallways. And of course, as is described in this article by Lance Reynolds, nice job at the Herald, when reporters started to question them, supporters blocked their faces and bodies with masks and that scarf thing connected to the Palestinian liberation. They grew agitated and combative as reporters pressed questions. You are harassing us. Of course, they're victims, one supporter said. Leave you. Which is the exact same thing happened to me on Winter Street Tuesday night, right? When I had my camera pointed someplace they didn't want it to go, right? As I was assuming they were passing out supplies and they were just saying that they were, we're administering first aid. Oh, okay. Sure you are. They're blocking the street. They're probably passing out supplies. They don't want you to see what's happening. Don't they want to document the police brutality by the man, right? Sure they do. Yeah, sure. Well, shouldn't they want to show how the man beat everyone up? Here they are again. Thank you so much for joining us today. Great to have you on today's show. This looks like a couple of the offenders. Great picture by Mark Stockwell, by the way. He's been doing a great job on this story, the photographer of the Herald. Protesters and supporters and defendants await their turn at BMC. Great job, Stockwell. And there he is. There is your preppy terrorist right there. There he is, staring right again by Stockwell. Exceptional photo. I had a little argument with myself Tuesday afternoon about which cameras I was going to bring to the event. Just as a quick aside, and I didn't have a lot of time. As I said, I was busy. So I left my fancy camera at home and just went with my phone and then actually with my backup phone. And so my photos weren't really what I would have wanted had I brought my fancy camera. But I was able to take some stills from the videos that I think I used, but maybe next time the fancy camera. But when you go out and you're in these rallies, you know, especially at night, you think twice about bringing anything that's expensive, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So hell of a way to start. Let's get back to our Berkeley Beacon angle. Hell of a way to start your report, Steve McGuire adds. It's not the first time a student journalist has been arrested in the last 2 years either. So this is specifically relative to the two tough students that were arrested at the Hamas rally. And check out how they start the article. Great job, Steve McGuire, for noting this. Editor's note. Ben Chuchurian, or we'll just call him Ben, is the former chair of the editorial board. He was not involved in the writing of this article, developing story. So one of the people who got arrested is the former chairman of the editorial board at Tufts University, at what they call Tufts Daily. So the former chair of Tufts Daily editorial board was one of the people that got arrested. Senior Roder Atwood, that's the kid with the yellow sweater, and Junior Ben, whatever his name is, were both arrested on charges. And Roder Atwood is being held on $10,000 bail. He must reappear in court October 30th. Ooh, good. Let me check my calendar. Maybe I can go on October 30th. So here we are with the former editorial board chairman at Tufts Daily getting arrested. And that led me to wonder about this person. Laith Hintzman, 19, of Boston, arrested last night. I got a tip that this person was a correspondent for the Emerson College newspaper. And what do you know? I found a couple of stories that Laith Hintzman had written in the fall of 2024 for the Berkeley Beacon. So the Berkeley Beacon, I don't think they mentioned this, maybe Laith Hintzman is no longer a student there. I have no idea. But who knows? But right, maybe they were a one semester and done type of, but they're still college age. They're 19, and I think Laith is a guy. Yeah, I think Laith is a guy. Although these days, who knows? But yeah, why are so many of these people coming from college newspapers? Is my question. I think there was a third person that came from college newspapers, and that was over at MIT. So we're going to get back to this story, but right now I want to talk to you about YouTube and the censorship that has been going on with the Cape Gunworks channel. We are very happy to have joined us here today, and I'm actually just going to put this out here that Toby is joining us now. And hopefully people will join in and listen to what Toby has to say relative to being banned from YouTube, not only for his main channel, but all the channels. And joining us right now is Toby Leary from Cape Gunworks. Great to have you with us, Toby.
Thanks for having me on, Jack. I really appreciate it.
What happened?
Well, as a lot of you know, and you covered that my business page, Cape Gunworks, was taken down, and not a real good reason why, or a good explanation why, ironically. And then we appealed that decision. They said, nope, it's staying down. And so we'll see where, I figured I'll see where that all leads and whatnot. But I still have my other two channels, Rapid Fire Radio, which is my podcast that I do every week. And then my personal page, Toby Leary, or Toby's Take, where I was starting to do a little bit more political commentary and talk about all things you don't talk about at Thanksgiving, like religion, politics, guns, So
basically everything we talk about on this show.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. Just like what you're doing now. And so I started to tell everyone to go follow us at those channels. And it's funny because when they deleted my business page, they said, you can no longer have a YouTube channel like that does the same thing, or you can't rebrand it. And so, but my personal channel was older than my business channel, and it's so different. I didn't think it would be an issue, and it's, my name, not the business page. So I didn't really think too much of it. Well, lo and behold, yesterday I woke up to see my other two channels had got whacked as well. And so I appealed that, and I said, what the heck? These are older channels, and they're different content. And if you're deplatforming me for my firearms related content, it's unfair to take away my political and commentary as well. But they didn't see it that way. They sent me an email last night that, nope, we're keeping it down, both channels. I mean, all three channels. And so, it's sad. And I just replied, okay, it's pretty obvious you don't want me on your platform. That's basically what it comes down to. But in this day and age, it's kind of a shame, especially after the congressional hearings a week or so ago, that
Right.
they said they're going to stop.
That they had politically censored people. This was just like 2 weeks ago.
Right. Yeah. And I think right after that, I was on the Rob Manus show, and he actually had his show restored as a result of the deplatforming. And, so I'm like, how ironic. And the worst part of it, Jack, is I commented on Elon Musk's post about it, where he said, good for Google. They're going to do the right thing, restore all these channels. And I, in my cynical self, said, I'll believe it when I see it. And then a week later, I got whacked. They're like, we don't like this guy. So they gave me a what for. And so the biggest problem I see is if you have all your eggs in one basket, like we didn't, but I guess as far as our viewership was concerned, we kind of did, right? We had almost 30,000 subscribers on our YouTube channel, and our X account has been growing. Our Rumble feed is, was pretty slow to grow, and all the other alt media that are free speech based grew really slow, right? In comparison to the YouTube. So that is still the big player.
Right now, YouTube is the biggest app used on televisions, not Netflix, which
amazing.
That would be a good answer. But actually, YouTube is the most common app used on the large screen televisions.
Wow. That's amazing. And so they have become, I would say, a monopoly.
Become television.
Yeah, a legit monopoly on media. And yeah, there's other alt sources, and everybody who has sounded off in the comments to my deplatforming saying, go to Rumble, go to X, go to Twitch, and I said, I have been all those places for 4 or 5 years. And the fact that you don't know that proves my point, right? Like the fact that,
you're gonna be hosting a show today, right?
I'll be doing a show today at 5.
Where can they find you?
On our X account, at Cape Gunworks, which is at Cape Gunworks on X, and also on Rumble, on Facebook. We're still in a couple places, but it occurred to me that this isn't the first or second time we've been deplatformed. We got deplatformed on Facebook first, and that was once our channel reached a pretty high level of followers, right? Then we rebuilt there. Then Instagram started to get traction. And once we reached, tens of thousands of followers there, we got whacked. Then another Facebook channel got hit. So 2 Facebook, 2 Instagrams have got taken down. And then most recently, and of course a TikTok years ago. But then most recently, all 3 of the YouTube channels. So it's like as soon as you start to get a good viewership, they pull the rug out from under you.
Let me ask you a question, Toby. Sorry. So let's just think about this critically. Is there some gun that I don't even, as you know, I don't even know what end the bullet comes out of. But is there some gun or some that you demonstrated or some policy that you promoted that you knew they would be pissed off at? Or do you think it's more like they took the opportunity because of all of the gun violence that happened recently?
No, it's pretty interesting. Like if they had told me they pulled down my channel for the gun content that I was doing, I would almost be like, I can see that, because there was a stretch of time where I was doing these gun review videos and I was putting a link in the description on how to go buy them. And I didn't realize it was a violation of YouTube's policies. Then like a year ago or 6-8 months ago, whatever it was, I became aware of this policy change and I stopped doing it. And then so ever since I had stopped doing it. And it wasn't until like a month or 2 ago that I started to get strikes against my channel. And the 2 first strikes were nothing to do with their community standards violations. I wasn't selling a gun. They were one was educational, like what guns can you buy in Massachusetts? And I was being general about this. It wasn't come to Cape Gunworks and buy them. It was very general.
That's your problem, because you're not supposed to buy a gun in Massachusetts.
Right.
Yeah. You know that?
Yeah, they don't like that. They don't like it when you buy a gun in Massachusetts. So
that's you thought you were allowed to buy a gun in Massachusetts. That's your problem, Toby.
Right. No doubt. And then the second,
I'm reminded of the old Bob Dylan song. I'm not sure what you did, but you're doing it again.
And that's the funniest part of the whole thing is they would always send me a copy of the community standards. They're like, you done screwed up, Ron. And here's what you did wrong, but they didn't really tell you what you did wrong. They just give you a copy of the community standards and you're reading through it like a lawyer and going, okay, but how did I violate this? I don't know how I violated it. So the first 2 videos that they gave me a strike on, I couldn't figure out how I violated. And the second one was a little short I did, inviting people to come meet Brandon Herrera, a big YouTuber with 4 million followers, and it was a fundraiser for the Civil Rights Coalition. So that was the second strike. And again, we appealed that, like, please just tell me what I'm doing wrong and I will stop doing it. But they didn't. They don't tell you. And so the third video that they gave me the deletion on, they went back into the archive from February and said, oh, yeah, this video is your third strike. And the first strike was set to expire in 2 days. So
show me the man, show me the crime. All right. So today's your show is on X and Rumble, Cape Gunworks. What time?
5 p.m. And I'm going to have State Rep
at 5 p.m. Cape Gunworks.
And I'll have State Rep Stephen Exaros joining us in studio.
And so the representative will be your guest, and the topic will be?
We're going to talk about what's going down in Boston that you've been so good at covering. And he's a former law enforcement, and he's not, happy with the way I think things are being done in the city. And they're leaving police officers very exposed to violence and crime. So it should be a spirited conversation.
5:30? 5
p.m.
5.
Yep.
Today on X at 5, Toby Larry, the great Toby Larry from Cape Gunworks. Thanks for joining us, Toby. Great to have you.
Thanks. Anytime. Thanks so much, Jack.
You got
Take
it,
care.
man.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Toby. That was a great update, and sorry that happened to you. That completely stinks. So you again, just if you didn't hear, today at 5 on X or Rumble at Cape Gunworks, Toby's going to talk about his 2 cents relative to what happened in Boston over the last couple of days, and he's going to have State Representative Stephen Exaros as his special guest. That'll be today on X at 5 p.m. and Rumble, Cape Gunworks. All right, let's get back to our regularly scheduled program. I'm going to say something nice about the Republican caucus in the State House, which doesn't happen very often. But nonetheless, Republicans are asking the Inspector General to investigate Service Plaza bid process. Well, way to go. Republicans in the legislature are calling on the state inspector general to look into exactly what went wrong with the bidding process. Very good. Excellent. It's totally FUBAR, as we've covered deeply on this channel and over at johnfgately.com. And I'm glad that the Republican caucus has stepped up to call for an investigation. In any normal world, after what we learned publicly with all the texts going back and forth between the parties, in any normal world, this would automatically have generated a review of all the contracts awarded to Suffolk Construction over the last several years in any normal world. But this... Massachusetts, and everyone's afraid of Suffolk Construction, right? Mr. Fish has got a lot of people on the hook, right? I've gotten calls from people that you people think that, like, oh, Jack, you're standing in the crowd with Antifa, it's dangerous. Oh, really? Yeah. Let me tell you, swimming with another fish, that's even more dangerous. I've gotten way more calls saying you probably don't want to say anything more about Suffolk Construction. I've gotten those are much more serious phone calls than a couple of knuckleheads in the middle of Tremont Street. Yeah, but I was like, F it, I'm just gonna write it. Yeah, stop me. Because that's what they want, right? They're just bullies. Jack, you might want to not write anything about Suffolk Construction anymore. I was just like, I'm writing another one. All right, so we've talked about this in multiple different occasions, but here it comes now. There is a full-fledged press to increase your municipal taxes, your hotel taxes, your meals tax, all your property taxes. There is a full-fledged press. The Mass Municipal Association has now issued a perfect storm financial warning. Sluggish local aid, limited taxation options, headline analysis of fiscal constraints. It is the top story at the master list. New report says cities and towns struggle with property tax limit and shrunken state aid. And here's the story here. Handled by the Tufts University Center for Policy Analysis, the report suggests that Proposition 2.5, cap on property taxes, may be too restrictive. Too restrictive. We also heard Mayor Wu in the last week or two take aim at the how do I want to say this? Take aim at Proposition 2.5, but now the press is absolutely on. Hold on, I have I'm working on a story literally as we speak, and somebody needed some details. So hopefully we'll get some confirmation on that story as during the show today. I've kind of put the story at the end of the story. So if you're listening and you're texting me, hurry up and give me an answer if you could. Handled by Tufts University Center, Proposition 2.5 might be too restrictive. So there's going to be this massive push to raise your local taxes. And here's again over at State House News Service, Mass Municipal Association report, mass cities and towns reaching a fiscal breaking point. They're spinning this that everything is a crisis. Well, I tell you, if you cut the budget, which means cutting jobs, then that's a way to solve the problem. Shrink the size of government is a way to solve the problem. But that is unthinkable to these people. Absolutely, positively unthinkable. And so what the strategy is if they can't get the money out of the state level, they're going to have a bunch of referendums and votes all at the local level, all your cities and towns, 351 of them, to raise taxes in one way, shape, or form, and they're going to try to get rid of and or modify Proposition 2.5 because it's too restrictive. There you go. You've heard it first. Today, the Mass Municipal Association, according to the State House News Service schedule, has an event in Newton to talk about this. And then certainly directly related to this, the union organization Raise Up Coalition is hosting a town hall meant to gather support for proposals the group says will make more than $1 billion in state revenues available to offset federal cuts. And this is with all your union stuff. They want to tap into the rainy day fund. They want to change the state tax law so that global corporation, blah, 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 blah. And that's going to be in Worcester and in Cambridge. And of course, those are the same people that are going to be supporting your changes in local tax law, which is absolutely positively coming down. There's going to be a huge, brace yourself, gird your loins. There's going to be a huge push coming up to raise your local level taxes. There's no doubt about it, which is why I want to acknowledge the power move, the stick the fork in their eye power move that the special town meeting in Carver took on Tuesday night. Tuesday night, conservatives in Carver took over the town meeting. There was a motion to fund firefighter cost of living raises. And what they did, this guy here stood up. His name is Dan Ferrand, if I have his name right. This guy stood up and made an amendment to the cost of living proposal. And his amendment cut the salary of the town planner to fund the firefighter raises because the town planner has, how do I want to say this nicely, basically been betraying the town. I think that's a fair way to describe it, characterize it, relative to the MBTA zoning issue. So all of this is related. Let's have Dan Ferrand explain.
Can I move to amend the article?
You can.
So my proposal is to see if the town will take the $9,268 from the town planner salary and allocate it to the fire budget as requested, and immediately cut that amount from the permanent salary of the planner position.
That needs a second.
We're cutting the money from the, and from what I understand, the planner is actually sitting in this meeting.
Moderator,
Yes.
is the town planner a contract employee?
No.
Excellent.
So the town planner, Mr. Bolt, is a regular
Anyone else?
town employee.
Making his way.
Let's have this local guy wearing the Charlie t-shirt explain exactly why he did this. Hold on, let me just fast forward it here. All right, here he is here.
So we can vote on this amendment.
So the point of the amendment is that the planning board has jumped through hoops related to a different article. They've gone to bat for everybody in this room. If you've attended the meetings and you've listened, there's a disconnect when the planning board gives direction to the planner and the planner gives direction to the person that he recommended to hire. It's been an absolute complete failure from what the planning board has asked for and what makes it to that person and back to the planner. That's why I moved to cut the planner salary, fully support the fire department and what they're doing, but I'm clearly making a point here.
I'm clearly making a point here. And then later in the meeting, so that passed by a vote, 221 to 172. And then later in the day, or later in the meeting, not that long later, they voted to reject a plan to create a MBTA communities multifamily overlay district, which of course was a partial work product of the town planner himself, Mr. Bolt, which would effectively taken this junkyard off of West Street, a junkyard I've actually been to several times. I've been in the habit where we drive our cars till they don't drive anymore. That's what we do at my house. And I've taken several cars to this junkyard, and the guys that own it are hilarious. They're exactly what you would think of two old guys that run a junkyard, right? And they're priceless. I don't like going there because that means my car's dead. Nothing sounds better than a paid-for car. But when it's time to go, I take it to this junkyard in Carver. I've been there several times. And they want to turn that into apartment buildings. And you might say, well, a junkyard is not very glorious. I get that. But understand that the MBTA Communities Act, and all credit to Carver here for smacking the deep state of Carver around. Way to go. This is like a double rebuke for the swamp in Carver. That's exactly what this is. Because understand that Jack, you're against housing. Understand that the MBTA Communities Act, godfathered by Maura Keneally, is a pro-suburban sprawl piece of legislation. The MBTA Communities Act, let me slow down. I know it's still early. The MBTA Communities Act is a pro-suburban sprawl piece of legislation. I always grew up and everyone was railing against suburbans. We've got to stop suburban sprawl. But that's exactly what the MBTA Communities Act is. It promotes suburban sprawl. What we should really be doing is promoting and incentivizing urban density near transit. But that's not what the MBTA Communities Act does. Not at all. So let me see if I can double check. I'm going to take some of your comments in a second on this on this story. First off, let's hear from a little Wakeman wisdom. Toby was so effective with the 135 repeal effort, the government switched the rules halfway through. now this. Yes, now this. This guy is a rock star. Well, I know I am. Oh, you meant Toby Leary is a rock star. Oh, yeah, he is a rock star as well. Yes. Yeah. I actually can't play an instrument, but I can sing. So maybe Toby can play guitar. We're rock stars. Thank you, Wendy. Wendy Wakeman Wisdom for today. Schools are breaking these municipalities. Where I live, 73% of every tax dollar goes to the schools for 1,800 students. They don't have the budget to operate the town. Well, I'm so glad that you commented on this because everything here is driven by your municipal unions, and your number one municipal union is your teachers association. Thank you very much for pointing this out. We have our state representative, our new state representative here in Massachusetts. She's sort of the Plymouth state rep, but really she's the teachers union state rep. Michelle Badger, she's D teacher union, right? D teacher union she doesn't really work for the people of Plymouth. She works for the teacher union. I used to joke about that with Charlie Deacon's back in the 90s. Some of you might remember him. I used to call him R. Cranberry. Right? Because he was from Wareham, and I hardly 5 years working at the State House, I barely saw Charlie Deacon's because if it wasn't about cranberries, he didn't care. So I used to call him R. Cranberry, and Michelle Badger is basically D Teachers Union. Right? It would be easier if like, right, you've seen the thing, the thing with if they just had the sponsorships on their shirts like NASCAR drivers. Michelle Badger, the Plymouth state rep, hold on, let me get my air quotes. The Plymouth state rep, she'd be sponsored. She'd have one sponsor, and that would be the Teachers Association. Yeah. So the schools are eating your municipal budgets. Yes. And of course, when teachers strike illegally, well, there seems to be quite a bit of tolerance for that. Bill says he reposted the stream. Oh, very nice of you. Thank you so much, Bill. Very nice of you. All right. And anybody else that I missed here? Let's see. Somebody's convinced that they're targeting Toby's business. I wouldn't put it past them, but we don't have any evidence of that. But yeah, that is possible for sure. All right. I got this story late, but I have not been able to independently confirm this. Well, at least one of the things. But I was able to confirm this financial report. The Boston Broadside is reporting in an email this morning that the Massachusetts GOP has lost its political director and its finance director. Now, yesterday reported to you that Jennifer Nassour has signed up with the Minogue campaign. Kylie Minogue, Mike Minogue. That's how it's Minogue, Kylie Minogue. So Jennifer Nassour is with the Minogue campaign. Now, they are also, that has been publicly reported multiple sources. Boston Broadside this morning is saying that Mark Steffen has left the party to go work for Brian Keneally, who's running for MassGov. His name is Michael Keneally. This report is unconfirmed. We'll put it that way. And also, they got Mike Keneally's name wrong. And yeah, so I don't know about that. We're gonna hold off and say whether or not that is true. We'll hold off on that. It's piqued my interest. But what more importantly piqued my interest was the financial condition of the Republican State Committee as represented by this graphic here. It says they started the year with $37,000, and as of September 30th, they only had $7,000 on hand in their main state account and about $8,000 in their federal account. I was like, whoa, and that year to date they raised 375,000 but spent 409. Really? So I went over to OCPF to confirm that myself, and I had the little graphic thing here somewhere. Let me see if I can bring it up on the screen for you. Hold on a quick second. Yeah, I was able to. That is accurate and current data for this account, which is the Republican State Committee on Merrimack Street, currently with $7,000 cash on hand. Man, I got more than that in the office, right? Like, Mike, yeah, that's it. They raised 375 and spent 409 this calendar year. Well, the report is the report. You are your record, right? When I was in a 100% sales role, at the end of the month, your numbers are your numbers, right? The numbers are the numbers. You are your record. And even if I had a new deal coming in, it's not going to be booked until the second or third. Well, then that's next month. But this month is what this month is. And apparently it's, not looking too good in that regard. When you look at the ending balance for the last several months, 12,000, 14,000, 32,000, 64,000, 35, 19, 11, 24. It's been a little bit rocky, but now they ended September with $7,000. Wow. Maybe there's a deeper story in that. I don't know. And definitely we need a further confirmation of whether or not that story relative to Mr. Stephan is accurate or not. One thing that could be happening is the candidates are sucking up all the money. That's very possible, that the candidates are sucking up the money, and therefore it's difficult for the state party to raise money. And therefore maybe that's why the staff is going where the money is. That would be a natural thing. So I could see that. But we'll standing by to see more developments on this story. We will keep you posted. In the meantime, I just wanted to notice this report from Brad Wyatt, who is recommending to us this young gentleman here, Nathan Remillard, over at Yankee News 1776. And Brad says, I just wanted to share this with my followers. Excellent on the street budding Massachusetts journalist, Nathan Remillard. Follow Nathan in his Yankee News YouTube channel. All right. Well, shout out to Nathan. There you are, Nathan. Yankee News 1776. Way to go. All right. Keep up the good work. And thank you, Brad Wyatt, for bringing that to our attention. And talking about Mr. Minogue, he was on the Kathy Carr show last night. And I don't know if you caught the interview. Maybe you did. Overall, I thought it was okay. As a kind of a first interview with, obviously, Kathy has 40 years radio experience, and Mike Minogue doesn't. So then there's that. And there were a couple of things, especially about his bio and that type of thing, which he did a very, very, very good job on, which of course you should. There were a couple of questions that he could improve, that there's room for growth. There's room for growth. But you've heard me talk over the last week or so. I'm like, does this guy have any talent other than writing a check? Right. And I think he did okay, but there's definitely room for growth. So here are my 2 or 3 things. Number one, Howie asked him if he had, and these are questions that Howie asked, from what I understand, in the debate, which was hosted at Cape Gunworks for Mr. Keneally and Mr. Shortsleeve. So these were not kind of like one of a kind. To be fair, Howie Cathy asked Minogue the same types of questions that were asked at the debate. So that was fair by Cathy to ask the same type of questions. In which case, by the way, Mr. Minogue, you should have known what was coming. You should have watched that debate. I'm not sure if you did. Or your people should have watched it for you. You see what I'm saying? So the one question that he totally whiffed on, are there any Republicans that you admire in Massachusetts? He didn't name one. And, you know, I was speaking with somebody else about this, and he probably, it's a trap question. Agreed. It's a trap question, but he probably should have named a half a dozen people so as not to annoy anybody. So, right. And therefore, heaven forbid the one person you mentioned, you know, did something awful tomorrow or whatever. But you're like, right off the bat, I could have said Kelly Dooner, State Representative Lombardo, Gasky, Baldiga, Sheriff McDonald, Sheriff Lou out in Worcester, right? You should have known a couple of people to say nice things about. And I don't think it was a strategic answer. I don't think he knew. I don't think he knew the names of these people. That's my gut feeling. I don't think he knew the names of these people. So he's got to get more granular, right? He's got to get more granular. If you're running for governor as a Republican and you don't know who Nick Baldiga is, or John Gasky is, or Kelly you gotta do some more homework. Because my feeling in listening to that answer was that he didn't know any names. That's why he didn't give a name. That's my feeling. Yeah, and if you're running a 30,000-foot campaign run by Washington, D.C. consultants, I know that if Maura said, can you give me a name of a Democrat in Massachusetts that she admires, she's going to have 83 names that she can ramble off to you because, you know, she's the governor, right? And credit to Short Sleeve and Keneally, they've been at this for like 6 months, and being a candidate is a difficult thing. It's a difficult thing, and you get better with reps. You get better with reps. In the last 6 months, Keneally and Short Sleeve have gotten a lot more reps because they've been on the road, right? Meeting with town committees and you get to get a sense of their strengths and weaknesses. And the simple fact of the matter is, Minogue has never run for office to the best of my knowledge, and he needs more reps. Now, the second thing that he said on the Howie Cathy Carr show yesterday was he gave Charlie Baker, this is hard to say, he gave him out of a 10 rating, he gave Charlie Baker an 8 out of 10 for Charlie Baker. Man, please don't say that again. I'm just gonna rack that up as a mistake, but please don't say that again. Please, I'm begging you. Wow. It's been a great day. Hold on. I just want to check one more thing because I'm literally working for a story as we speak. Nope, haven't gotten the confirmation yet. So can't go with that yet. I was hoping to go with that with you, but haven't gotten it yet. We'll see you tomorrow, Friday, 8 a.m. for the next edition. Tomorrow's Friday, right? It looks like a beautiful day. High 60, I think. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Thanks a lot for joining us. Have a great day. Bye-bye.